First of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find, but I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys that they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.
What's going on, YouTube? Nathan back with another video presentation. Yes, I do apologize. It is 12:13 where I am at. It's probably like 1:13 where other people are at. I do apologize. When a job asks you of a task that requires you to work overtime, so be it. That's just more money in your pocket. Keep that in mind. Really quick, before we get into the video, there's a few things I need to say up front. Episode 2, thank you for the support, thank you for the love. You guys were showing in that video, much appreciated. Real quick, if anybody that knows how to do intros for like YouTube channels and things like that, let me know, because I've been inquiring about changing. This intro. I love Chuck, but I definitely want to change it up. So if you know anybody, please let me know. So I'm going to pick off from episode 2. I did the AFC division outlook for this year. I'm also going to break down in this episode the NFC. I'm going to go over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and versus the Dallas Cowboys, which is tomorrow night. You'll probably see that Friday evening. I'm just going to pretty much just kind of give my outlook on it. I'm just going to give a final score. I'm also going to talk about the Orioles. They had a 9-run rally in the 8th inning, a comeback win against the Kansas City Royals. That's a dope shirt. Yes. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. I invested in my wardrobe this summer. Past couple of summers, I've invested in more Polo Assassin shirts, Levi's, and different things like that, trying to show more confidence, trying to upgrade my wardrobe. I appreciate that. What all you do? What? I'm not sure, but I want an intro that kind of just, for me, it just stands out. I don't mind if it's like me doing like having like some talking points, funny moments, something like that. But this is a kind of like authentic like intro, something like I don't know, something like what you do for your show, Sean, something like that. But I just want to talk about that with the Orioles as well. On the Nationals, unfortunately, we were lost tonight 4-2 as well. I also did say that I was going to talk about my WNBA awards for this season. So bear with me. Again, as I'm going to start with the NFL season first. Okay, so we're going to pick off in the NFC. We're going to start in the NFC North. Okay, so I'm looking at the North. Okay, couple things before I go on my rant about the NFC North. Okay, I like the fact that Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers found a way to come to some kumbaya. Okay, I want to give a shout out to Nick Rosario from Let's Talk Football, the Roundtable podcast. He made some great points. When I look at Tom Brady, right? Because Tom Brady is probably a better example. We can make an argument and say that Tom Brady last year and even his past couple seasons never really had talent. When I mean he didn't have a true number one wide receiver. We could say Gronkowski, but Gronkowski, with the injuries, he's really a tight end. I mean, a number 1 wide receiver, a number 2 wide receiver. He didn't really have weapons. Okay. What happens is Tom's fed up. Tom says, you know what? He's a trophy thrower. I wish I had that clip so I could play that for you. He goes to Tampa. He's showing you that, hey, listen, he's telling Bill Belichick, if you give me some help, all I asked for was some talent and some help. That's all I asked for. Nothing more, nothing less. It's not rocket science. I'm looking at Aaron Rodgers. You have Devontae Adams. You have Aaron Jones. You have Adam Lazard. You got some pieces that you can make better. That's the point. We're not saying that, wow, look, just go out there, just appreciate what you have. I'm just saying you have wide receivers, a couple of, I know they're not like Devontae Adams, but I'm saying you can make them better as a quarterback in the offseason. Hey, Adam, hey, let's do X, Y, and Z. That's what it takes. Now, it's one thing or another. It's another thing if Aaron Rodgers had no help. That matters. That's different. But what I'm saying is, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, the whole offseason, we were thinking, is he want out? You know, is he going? Because to me, what the behavior that I saw was very Brett Favre-like, and I feel like, in all of this, I feel bad for Jordan Love because we were this close to putting Jordan Love in a situation where he would have to take over a team, and there were expectations that were going to be put on him hard, and that's not fair because a guy with a huge ego who he's learned from a guy in past who we all know is a prima donna. Because remember, Brett Favre, you know, the whole protect my legacy. He couldn't make up his mind whether he's not going to retire. Then he goes to Minnesota, goes to the New York Jets. End of the story. Okay, now he's working on they got into a 1-year deal extension. After next year, he's a free agent. Okay, now Devontae Adams couldn't come to a contract extension before the season, so I'm hoping they get that done now. Hopefully they get it together because I know that I think it's guaranteed money with Devontae Adams. I think Devontae Adams wants to be the number 1 wide receiver. Okay, this same team won 13 games last year. Okay, and they reached the NFC Championship last year back in 2019. Even though, let's call it what it is, their defense was very suspect against the Buccaneers, and that last few minutes, their offensive, they threw the ball to Devontae Adams 3 straight times. Makes no sense, and we don't know if that was a Matt LaFleur thing, if that was an Aaron Rodgers thing. We don't know. Okay, Minnesota, their defense was horrendous. When you don't have an Anthony Barr or Danielle Hunter and things like that, that's a recipe for disaster. Now, I cannot see the Minnesota Vikings worse. I see some improvement now that they got key guys back. All right. I'm looking at also too Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has made it vehemently clear that he's an anti-vax guy. I respect it. That's your choice. I love Anthony Thielen and Justin Jefferson. They re-signed Emerson Griffith. They got some young guys in there. They unfortunately had to cut a corner they had because of domestic violence. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But I just don't see the same Viking team from last year going on the field this year. I see a different team. Now, I'm looking at the Detroit Lions next, okay? If you told me, Nathan, how would you feel that Dan Campbell was your head coach? I'd scratch my head. I don't know how to feel about Dan Campbell. His introductory press conference as a coach was really, really great. I liked it, talking about kicking people and biting people, something like that, which is very, at first, kind of cringy, but funny at the same time. This is a team. I cannot forget about Dalvin Cook. Thank you, Sean. He's going to hide some issues that Kirk has. Oh, of course. Absolutely. Facts. back to the Lions. This is the same team that gave Matthew Stafford 2 $100 million contracts. This is the same team that had Megatron and didn't want to grant his wanting out of Detroit. This is the same team that's has only had 3 playoff appearances in the last 21 years. I cannot see the culture in Detroit changing. I don't see it. I'm a fan of Jared Goff. Me personally, I think what happened between him and Sean McVay, I think it was just communication, and I think there's egos. Listen, when Sean McVay came in that head coaching spot, Jared Goff was already there. Who was Jared Goff drafted by? Jeff Fisher, who every sports analyst and their mother wanted him fired. I can give you. I'm not going to say his name. He's also got another coach in my conference in the AFC North. He plays a role in him getting fired, but that's neither here nor there. But you may know who I'm talking about. You're hearing things about attitude, different things like that. Those can be easily fixed. I don't care what Shaquille O'Neal has to say about having or not having a relationship as a coach with your best player. That's bullshit. Excuse my language. I think it's important, especially when you're the quarterback, having a relationship with your coach. That matters. Because why? Because at the end of the day, that's your coach. And this is the guy, hey, coach, what's the play? This is what we got to work on. That's something that the Rams front office should have done. To me, to trade and invest in a guy who was on a mediocre team, who's gotten to the playoffs twice and lost in a wild card, unproven, in my personal opinion. I mean, we could all say what you want to say about Matthew Stafford. I think he's a great quarterback, but he has not shown me personally that he's a guy that gets you to the promised land as a quarterback on a winning team. I don't know what he looks like on a winning team. That's my point. You want to say he got in the wild card when he was in Detroit? That's great. But who did he go up against? I want to say one year he went against Green Bay, another year he went against Seattle. And we can all point. I mean, you can also point. Well, he didn't really have weapons. The Detroit Lions were a great team, but let me get off that. I can't see the culture of Detroit changing, not anytime soon. They got some pieces. I just think that are just hope that there's hand-me-downs until they get what they need. I like the pick in Penei Sewell, which the Bengals should have gotten, but I don't know why. I really don't. I just don't. What the Bengals make. But let me get off that. Stay focused, Nathan. Let me look at their draft real quick. I just want to see who else they got in the draft as well. I like Derek Barnes out of Purdue and Jamar Jefferson, the running back. I mean, he was a 7th round pick. Al McNeil, defensive tackle from NC State. They got some weapons. I mean, they added Terrell Williams, Jamal Williams, Rashard Perriman. God. I mean, these are guys that don't sweep you off your feet at all. Now, Nick Rosario said that. They had vet tackles that needed a big name wide receiver. I agree. That's facts. I just want to real quick name off their coaching staff. Aaron Glenn's the defensive coordinator. You remember Aaron Glenn back in the day, former New York Jet. He also played for the Texans, I want to say, too. Anthony Lynn, offensive coordinator. Aubrey Pleasant. Deuce Stanley, running back assistant and head coach. Don Phipp, Mark Brunell's the quarterback coach. Don Capers, Todd Welsh, Kevin Shepard, Seth Ryan, Antoine Randall. Hey, Dan Campbell did a good job getting some coaches in there. They could really teach some of these young guys a couple things. So, hey, I like the coaches. Don Capers has been in the league for been a minute, but I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at it at all. For the coaches, but I'm not sold on the team. Let me go down to Chicago. we all know this year, after this year, Matt Nagy's fired, in my personal opinion. We know that. To start, first and foremost, I think for him to really keep going, selling us on Andy Dalton. Exactly. On Andy Dalton, because I keep hearing in a couple of press conferences, well, he's a starter. I don't know when that's going to happen, and I don't know how long Andy will be starting until Justin Fields is ready to be the starter. Now, personally, I'd have liked to see Justin get a few more touches, particularly in the game against Buffalo. He was with the 3s and the 4s. I would really like to see him more with the 1s and the 2s. But this is the same franchise that drafted Mitch Trubisky. I really, really don't know what they're going to do. I really see, honestly, both Trey Lance and Justin Fields starting at the same time, probably sometime around week 6, week 7 of the season. But if you're saying Andy Dalton can manage this offense going forward, I have questions about that. But I think we all know Sean. He knows he's on the hot seat. He knows that this experiment, this fails. He's done after this year. Just when I look at it. But anywho, I have Green Bay winning the NFC North. We have 17 games. They'll most likely win 14, 15 games. Easily. My only concern with Minnesota, Kirk Cousins, the same thing we talked about with Lamar Jackson in early today's episode, getting COVID. That's a setback on the team. And again, just me personally, if we're trying to compete for a playoff spot and my best player gets down with COVID, that sucks. You're right. That's why I think Dalton is just starting from exactly. That's what I'm thinking too, Sean. Absolutely right on the money. Let's go to the NFC South. Okay. Couple things that stand out to me about the NFC South. Obviously we got, Mr. Trophy Thrower, Tom Brady. Drew Brees is not here after this season, this year. Still kind of is hard to process because I've been a fan of Drew Brees since his days in San Diego. He definitely, was one of the key players for winning that franchise a Super Bowl after Hurricane Katrina. Did so much for that city. I know he wasn't the same Drew Brees last year and even the year before, but Tampa Bay, they brought all 22 starters back. My only issue is it's hard to repeat. It's not easy. They got the same team, but what's the hunger like? Some guys have gotten their money, and when some guys get their money, they kind of start getting lazy. Just my opinion. I'm looking at the Saints. Okay, Michael Thomas won't be back until like week 6, week 7. But, we already have some drama with that. I talked about that in episode 13, season 2, last season 2, about the whole why did he put off surgery until now when they told him to get the surgery as soon as possible. Now, I have to get into Jameis Winston. Okay. We can say what you want about Jameis Winston. And I have to give Nick Rosario some. He brought up a good thought. The year he was in Tampa, he threw for 5,000 yards, but at the same time threw 33 interceptions. What he was trying to say was, that's great he threw for 5,000 yards, but we're looking at the interceptions. what had more value? Because we knew like last year, that year in Tampa was his last year to prove that he should still be the starting quarterback in Tampa. Even though I think coaching and play scheme played a role into it, but that's either here nor there. I've always believed in Jameis Winston. Y'all can make fun of him with this crab leg stuff when this is a W, all that stuff like that. I believe. Keep in mind, his coach that year in Tampa, Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians is this quarterback guru. I apologize for the thunder in the background. Bruce Arians is in Arizona, who would he have? Carson Palmer, okay? Jameis Winston, again, quarterback guru, didn't really fix him. Good point. Now, this is the next point I wanted to bring up. If you look at the first 5 years of Jameis's career versus the first 5 years of Drew Brees' career, they're very similar. Again, trust your eyes. Shout out to the regular Ravens fan, okay? Now, he's with a guy, Sean Payton, who we all worldly recognize as a coach who will sit down and work with you to be a great player. That's not really Bruce Arians. I think the system in Tampa and I think coaching plays a role in developing a quarterback, any player. I've said it. Shout out to Abs from Washington Football Weekly and Let's Talk Football. We've both said it. That W thing is yeah. I don't know why he did it. It was funny. Just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But we both said it. I personally believe. I mean, I was just being jokingly. I get hyped, as a football fan. I believe Jameis Winston's going to have a Pro Bowl year. I'm not going to go as far as saying MVP, but you're going to see a different Jameis Winston. Why? Because he learned behind Drew Brees and Sean Payton. Now, giving Taysom Hill that ridiculous contract, which is pretty much unguaranteed. They'll probably still use the two quarterback system with Jameis and Taysom, which is fine. Okay. Now that Michael Thomas is gone, you really don't have weapons other than Alvin Kamara. Now, this one kid, when they played against the Ravens in the preseason, Jameis had him. It's like a number one wide receiver. I can't think of his name on top of my head. He's a good little wide receiver. Matter of fact, let me look him up real quick. He's a good little wide receiver. I cannot think of his name on top of my head. Please forgive me. That's going to bug me. Where is he? Marquise Callaway. Oh, Lil Jordan Humphrey plays for the. Wow, I didn't know that. Callaway, thank you, Sean, thank you. Watch out for him. Watch, good little wide receiver. Okay, undrafted out of Tennessee. Watch, just saying. Bruce Arians got his guy, and I think Sean Payton has his guy as well. I think Brees and Payton have groomed him well. Dan, you just said that. Big ups, Nate. Exactly. I'm looking at that, but I'm looking at the Saints roster depth chart, and you really can I just give you their wide receivers? Can I just give you the wide receivers? Marquise Callaway, Dante Harris, Chris Hogan, Little Jordan Humphrey, Ty Montgomery, Traquan Smith. Those are your wide receivers. Now, Traquan Smith out of UCF, great little college player. I think he was AC Rookie of the Year 1 year. And I think he made like a second all-team back in like 2016, 2017. Okay? And you got Ty Montgomery, former Raven, Packer, and Jet. I don't know how to feel about that. I really don't. But that's your offense besides Alvin Kamara. So you have they actually just cut Lavartez Murray because of salary cap, and the Saints they got some. They're operating in the red. That's not good. Going into the season, operating red. They tried to raise the cap, and then the red even more. And bear. What do you mean and bear? And then there's the Carolina Panthers, and the Falcons. The Falcons, I really think they should have went just in a complete rebuild. To me, again, they just shown that they're willing to keep Matt Ryan around. I had them taking Mac Jones. I like Kyle Pitts. That pick, I feel like he should have been higher. You got, oh my God, what is his name? His name escapes me. Calvin Ridley. Never mind. I'm thinking of Cordero Patterson. I think he's with the Bears still, I want to say. Then there's the Carolina Panthers. I mean, you got Sam Darnold, who was in that same class with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and those guys. And I blame Adam Gase for setting this kid up to fail in New York. I really do. I feel like he had it in New York, but when you have a coach that showed the football world that he was really not, he should not have gotten another opportunity, but he somehow got it. I personally I blame him for really poorly developing this kid, and we set him up to fail in New York. I hope now in Carolina with Matt Corey. I'm going to say, I know I botched that. Coach Matt. No, Matt Rule. Matt Rule. That's his name. You said they had Ty Montgomery, and I see he was on the Bears, but I was like, oh, no problem. I got you. So the NFC South, I'm going to respectfully give it to Tampa Bay, but right behind them is New Orleans. Carolina and Atlanta are a distant third and fourth. I had the wild card is going to be New Orleans. If it's a big if Michael Thomas comes back and Sean Payton gets these boys that are in his place to step up. That's what matters to me. Now, it's a toss-up, the wild card, because you have 3 wild card spots. But I'm going to say with an asterisk, New Orleans, okay? Let's go to the NFC West. Couple things. This was tough. Okay? You got the San Francisco 49ers, okay? They got their guy in Trey Lance. I thought it was Justin Fields. My bad. Okay, we know Jimmy G, great quarterback. But the best thing about accountability is availability. And Jimmy G has not been on the field. He's missed a lot of games due to injuries and not staying healthy. I understand that there were just a couple plays away from winning a Super Bowl. Personally, I think it was miscommunication. I think it was a bad throw. We can all agree on that. It should not have happened. But I think San Francisco is just looking at it from this perspective. Yo, man, we gotta get somebody else. We just gotta go in a different direction. Jimmy G is great. No disrespect. And also, too, let's keep in mind, this team had a lot of injuries. They're getting a lot of these guys back, minus Richard Sherman, who's a free agent, who should be on the team. That's neither here nor there. Okay? Now, I'm not going to sleep on the Los Angeles Rams, even though when I grew up, because I'm young, they were the St. Louis Rams. I know they were the Los Angeles Rams back in the day because of my dad and told me all the stories with the great Earl Campbell and those guys. No, not Earl Campbell. Eric Dickerson. I have that right. Eric Dickerson. My bad, not Earl Campbell. My apologies. Anywho, I'm not sleeping on that defense. I gotta see what Matthew Stafford looks like in this situation now. That's the only thing I have. Because again, when you invested 3 first-round picks into a guy who's been with a bad franchise for 12 years and it has taken 2 $100 million contracts and seem to just be happy with the situation he's been in, and you don't check your franchise and saying, hey, you're giving me these contracts, but you're not giving me the help. I got to see what they look like, okay? Now, I got to take into consideration Seattle Seahawks last year. They were 12-4, but I'm looking at the Seahawks. They have not addressed the offensive line needs for Russell Wilson. I'm gonna say it right here, and I'm gonna say it right now. And Sean Smith you can use it as a clip, record it, whatever. If the Seahawks if they do not make the playoffs, Russell Wilson will demand out of Seattle after this year, guaranteed. Now you have the Arizona Cardinals. They started out really well, and then they just down the stretch faded a little bit. They have all the star power. I know Chandler Jones wants out of there still. I would like to see him still, if it's possible, to see if they can get him to come to Baltimore, because we could definitely use another pass rusher. This is arguably probably one of the best divisions, in my opinion. Each team has talent, and the coaching is subpar, no question about it. But I'm gonna have to give it to the Los Angeles Rams. I see the Rams just being the division winners. I mean, Aaron Donald is arguably the best football player in the league. Again, if I need to start building a defense, he's one of my picks for sure. Jalen Ramsey's no joke, even though this can get in the way sometimes, but his play does back it up. Again, I just got to see what Matthew Stafford looks like. Their window to win a championship, ladies and gentlemen, is 2-3 years max, in my personal opinion. They got to win. Even if Seattle makes the playoffs, I still think Russ wants out. Oh, for sure. I agree. That was my pick for sure. So we're going to get into the NFC East next. So this was the most mediocre division last year. This was like watching the American League East of baseball, where you only really have 2 good teams up until last few years, where it was now Tampa and now Toronto, and then Baltimore at the bottom. But again, neither here nor there. I'm not taking anything away from the Washington football team. My only question about the Washington football team, I just need to know a couple things. Stabilizing the quarterback position. Is Ryan Fitzmagic going to be starting all 17 games? Or do we see him starting 10, maybe 11 games? And then we're going to see what Kyle Allen or Tyler Heineke can do. Okay? Now, I'm also looking at that front seven on the defensive side. They got to set the tone. If they set the tone, it's I'm telling you, it's a done deal. Washington's unstoppable, in my personal opinion. I'm looking at the Dallas Cowboys, okay? They just gave Dak his contract. They're getting back. You have Ezekiel Elliott. They got Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb. The only mediocre issue I had with Dallas was their horrendously bad defense last year. I don't know if it was scheme. I don't know if it was coaching. I said this in the Ball Pit podcast. I can attest to it. When they played the Ravens, they made J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Lamar Jackson, just ran over them. Tyler Heineke's always ready. Kyle Allen's a clipboard holder. Okay. All right. Then there's the Eagles, and then there's – let me start with the Giants. I think it's a little unfair to – and we're going in now year 3 with Daniel Jones after 3 years, where kind of I don't want to say move. I don't want to say move the goalposts. We're kind of holding him to this high standard where, well, if they don't win, it's time to move on from Daniel Jones. I understand he came from Duke University. I get it. But I think it's unfair to judge a guy after 3 years with really no help other than Saquon Barkley. I mean, he's got Kenny Galladay, got a couple other weapons. Even though they didn't really upgrade their offensive line, they lost the right guard Kevin Zettler to us. He came to Baltimore. I just think it's a little unfair to criticize Daniel Jones like that without really giving him to really see what he could look like this year and maybe next year with talent. Because I feel like New York the Giants are building something, but I think Dave Gettleman is he's got to see it. I think it starts with Dave Gettleman. If Dave Gettleman doesn't see the bigger picture, then the Giants, I don't know where they could go. The Philadelphia Eagles, I don't know what's going on in Philadelphia. Again, I hold at what year is it okay to judge a quarterback? I say year 5. 5 years. Because if we're drafting a guy, particularly that high, 5 years max. If you push me, I'll say 4. But can we truly? Can we? Is it fair to criticize a quarterback that's had really no talent, no good wide receiver, like reliable wide receivers? I think that's a fair question. I don't know what's going on in Philadelphia. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Hold the front office accountable. You have a GM in Jeffrey Lurie. They got rid of Carson Wentz. They fired Doug Peterson. I'm looking at Jeff Lurie. He's on the hot seat this season. Okay, and the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me just go over the moves that they made. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me pull it up. Because I think that I like Justin Jalen Hurts. I think it's little. I think looking at this hindsight 2020, they're kind of back and forth about, well, do we start him? Do we not start him? Different things like that. Let me just point this out. Let's look at the depth chart. Okay, JJ Arcega Whiteside, Jalen Reagor. They drafted Devontae Smith, Greg Ward, Quez Watkins, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goddard, Jack Stahl, Boston Scott, Miles Sanders, Gardner. They just traded for Gardner Minshew, Joe Flacco. Looking at the same line offense team last year, this is the same team Carson Wentz had, and a lot of it was injuries. Had injuries, but again, I hold a certain journalist and for destroying his confidence in Philadelphia with Carson Wentz. A lot of things play in that part. The system, lack of talent, coaching turnover, and sometimes the guy is just a bust, a la Josh Rosen. But is that Josh Rosen or is that team? Because sometimes it may not be the player. It may just be your coaching staff. I mean, you said it right there, coaching turnover. Because, for example, can we question? Can we legitimately say Tim Couch was a bust in the 5 years that he was a starting quarterback in Cleveland? Because he did not have talent around him. He didn't have a running game, and he had a okay wide receiver, maybe 2 decent wide receivers, and the rest were mediocre. I'm going to say it right here. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to be a lottery pick team. I actually have them winning no games. Well, I see them having the number 1 overall pick. I don't think no team. I'm not saying no. Let me take that back. They're not going to go 16, but I do think they're going to have the number 1 overall pick. I do see them last place in the NFC East, but my division winner for the NFC East. Let me play the clip.
So now it's down to the number one team in the league, or number one team in the division, and that is my Washington football team, boy.
Talk about bias.
Right there. Honestly, you cannot say anything about this number one defense. This number one defense in this league. Okay.
You made Nate tap out.
I did not say number one defense in the division. I said number one defense in the league. Okay. Okay, you cannot say nothing, okay? And we upgraded on them in every position that we were weak at. Offensive line is straight. What you saying? Offensive line is straight. Wide receiver is straight. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna say nothing, man. You running backs. We picked up an undrafted free agent that might be the next. The next. Let's go, baby. Maurice Jones-Drew. What?
You'd have made Nate tap out, and Nick is just over here eating his pop. He's like, I got to get my popcorn for this.
What?
Come back, baby.
What? You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
in the next year, we're going to have the best running back duo in the league. What do you want? So, honestly, now all that you can say is about our quarterback. What is you trying to say? We upgraded in that position, too. Okay?
I got one thing to say.
Okay? No, you ain't got nothing to say because I'm still talking right now. Okay?
Yo, Dave, I'm coming to you next because I want to tell you.
I'm still talking right now. Okay?
You are killing me, Small.
I've seen worse quarterbacks make it to the Super Bowl, okay? So you really can't say you give Ryan Fitzpatrick a chance. My boy, we gonna do something. You cannot tell me nothing about this team right now. Right now.
Only if you stay healthy.
Right now. Okay? You can't say nothing, okay? So I'm not even about to go into next year because I have an argument for what our team is going to do next year. But I tell you this right now. We're winning the division. We're winning a playoff game. We might win two. We might win two, okay? So we might be the team coming out of the NFC. So
really?
When I talk about this team, you listen, okay? So I'm just trying to tell you, this team is legit. You better watch out for this team. And honestly, I know your argument is that if they stay healthy, honestly, though, if they stay healthy, we are legit a Super Bowl team. Get out of my face.
Let's go.
Thank you, Deacon.
That is your division winner out of the Washington football team. Hendrix, what's going on, man? I have them winning the division. Again, they're in a division. Last year, it was really, really hard to watch some of those games from each division, each team. My eyes. The NFC East is more respectable than that. And granted, we could talk about COVID and different things like that. But Washington made a lot of moves. The only thing is now I'm not feeling that Curtis Samuel is out again. He's out, another injury. I'm not comfortable with that because we did give him a lot of money. And again, when you give guys money and injuries start creeping up, much like in that video, yeah, I had to play that because I had that was a surprise. That was a surprise. So my only thing about, again, like I said, the quarterback, I need to know if Ryan Fitzpatrick will start just maybe 10 games, 13. I can't see him starting all 17. I know we talked about, getting Cam Newton here to Washington because he knows the coaching, he knows Ron Rivera and different things like that. But I don't think that would be fair to to Ryan Fitzpatrick because they kind of set him up with the whole what happened with Miami. Well, we're going to start Tula and let you go, but so my wild cards now. You might think I'm crazy. Arizona, San Francisco, Chicago. On paper, I think the Bears have a team to get there because they've gotten it. Mitch Trubisky last year, I might be wrong, last year got them into the playoffs. Because remember, Nick Foles started in that first half of the season, and then Mitch Trubisky got him there. I think they won 8 games. I couldn't. Let me just hold on. Let me just check my fact. Let me just make sure I checked that correctly. Hold on. Wait. Yes, they lost in the wild card against the 49ers. Yes. So, again, not saying Mitch Trubisky was the reason. I'm just saying that on paper, I think the Bears have the team that is not that I'm not saying it's dangerous, but it's respectable. You got Marquise Goodwin. You got Allen Robinson. You got Darnell Mooney. You got Brashard Perriman. Lord have mercy. You still got Jimmy Graham, even though he's still in the league. I thought he would retire, but no, Jimmy Graham he's still a respectable offensive player. You even got my man Jesse James. The offensive line is straight. Only my man's Tevin Jenkins is out. He got back surgery. Tariq Cohen is on the physically unable to perform list at the moment. Mario Edwards Jr. is suspended for PED usage. I'm looking at some of the guys that are on here. None of these guys that are on the IR, on the practice squad stand out. But that defense is still respectable. But this is a defense that's getting older. It's getting older for sure. So, random question. Is the depth of QBs coming to college that bad where we're really trying to take Cam's place, Tom's place, and Mac's place instead of new talent? Didn't Cam start out of college? No, it's not. It's not really. I wouldn't say it's the depth of quarterbacks. It's a results-oriented league, okay? It's more about system. I'm gonna put this comment up here because Sean made a good point. System, lack of talent, coaching turnover. Some guys just don't work on a team. Great example, Tim Couch. Okay, we can all argue he was probably one of the biggest busts in the game with Cleveland. But I can make an argument and give you in those 5 years he was a starting quarterback, he had no talent, he didn't have a number one wide receiver, didn't have a running game, didn't have a tight end, did not have weapons. Now you got to understand this about guys like Cam Newton. Cam Newton is not the same quarterback he was when they win the Super Bowl against Carolina. Not the same quarterback. I think age, and I think also too, guys just after a certain while they just are not the same. Tom Brady. He left New England because he and Bill Belichick couldn't coexist, even though I think that could have been a relationship that could have worked out. Matt Ryan, he has a contract. It's hard to get rid of a contract like that, especially when you're giving quarterbacks that kind of money, because that's salary cap. That's something that a team may have to pay. That's just the reality. That's how the NFL works. Now, there are quarterbacks that come into the league, I think, prematurely, and they're not ready for the NFL yet. Me personally, like Tua, I think Tua could have benefited staying in college another year. Even though I want to say he was a senior. I may be wrong. Let me just double check that. Yeah, he was a junior. He could have stayed his senior year. To me, just to help him develop better as a passer. And then on top of that, you get into the draft with that injury. That's not easy. Mitch got benched after leading Chicago to 3-0 start. Foles let him a couple more wins, and they split the time most of the that season. Facts, they did, yes. I know that's random. I'm just tired of acting like the new school of players isn't good, especially at their age. My bad, LO, you're making your boy think. No, I don't think that. It's more about, again, there's some guys that could benefit staying another year in college. I think that's what I think we need to have that kind of. That's what I think. Some guys could benefit, like Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Justin Fields. They're generational type quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson's another example. Baker Mayfield's an example. Josh Allen. Those guys are generational talents. As a guy like Mac Jones, we don't know. Josh Rosen, I mean, he was at UCLA. No disrespect. Sam Darnold. It's all about system, talent, and sometimes I think those are two big things: coaching, system, and talent. Those are three things that matter when you have a quarterback. I give you that. I'm saying with Tebow. So, I mean, that's the NFC conference outlook. Personally, you let me know what y'all think. That was tough. Damn, I had to play that video for Sean because that was really tough. The NFC East, I really hope it's better. I actually have the Washington football team winning 11 games easily on paper. I'm just not sold on Philadelphia. I see the Cowboys. That defense, I don't know. I mean, I have them second. This Washington, Dallas, the Giants, and the Eagles. I can go on the same rant about Baltimore. I think real quick, I have Baltimore winning 13 games. I'm going to actually go on that. I'll hold that real quick. I'll hold that for Friday's episode 4. I'll go by wins. It makes more sense. I'll go in depth about that. So scratch that from the record about the records, but I'll get more into that in episode 4. But you let me know who you think your divisional winners are going forward for the NFC and also the AFC if you didn't see in episode 2. But really quick, I wanted to talk about – hold on real quick. Let me add this as a banner because I did not talk about her in the previous episode, and I do apologize. I had it in the description, and it just hadn't had that opportunity to do that. Shikari Richardson. I cannot really say much. I wouldn't say I've been a critic of her. I've just been an observer of her, and I really don't think we see. Let me start off by saying this, okay? We have to be careful when because I hate this. We've created a Frankenstein. What I mean by that is, after that loss where she came in last place, she very bitter, and it just seems like no matter what she's doing, I'm seeing it on Twitter. She's still taking shots at the Jamaicans for in that race. You even had Allison Felix, who's probably one of the best track and field runners. Washington, Green Bay, Tampa, Division 1 NFC. Yes, I agree. That's my list. That's my list, sir. I'll give you that. Same with Tebow, for sure. But you had Allison Felix really trying to give her advice, and give her words of wisdom, and took a shot at her by saying it's not genuine. You see, there's nobody to me, in my personal opinion, that's truly in her corner to say, hey, wait a minute, you have somebody is trying to give you some words, some criticism, some words of wisdom. She said, I have the quote here. She said, she's been through so much. I hope that she's just supported. I hope that people rally around her. Obviously, she has a great personality. She's brought a lot of attention to the sport. I think she'll be in the sport for a very long time. I think just more than anything for all athletes. There's so much to go into it. We just, give her the support that she needs. And then she turns around and goes, encouraging. This is what Shikari says. Encouraging words on TV shows are just as real well as nothing at all. That's ignorant to me, because then she puts up another quote, don't be a good person, but don't waste time proving it. So we obviously know that she responds. Couple things. She doesn't like taking criticism well. I don't think Allison was giving her criticism. She was saying that she's hoping that there's support, because you would think somebody in that circle would pull Shikari to the side and say, hey, yo, like, wait a minute. Like, you came in last place. You you've been very unsportsmanlike. Listen, I like the attitude about, we ain't going nowhere. We staying strong. We coming back. I love the energy. I appreciate that. But I think when you say, like, again, I've said this I've said this religiously. Any athletes get all the play, get all the praise, all the glory. They're going to get the criticism. And when she came last place in that race, the media was coming for her, particularly after the whole thing, when she tested positive for TCH. Okay. She came into that race. We were looking like, oh, okay. With all due respect, she got smoked. But she has to be careful, because at some point she's going to be burning bridges. And I really do hope that she takes a step back and looks herself in the mirror and goes, damn, maybe I need to check myself. And maybe I need to be a little bit, humble myself a little bit more, because she just lost another race, because she's trying to be in, they're in Italy. She came in second place on the 5th. It's the Prefontaine Classic, and it's in Oregon. So she's definitely, again, it's all babies. It's all she just has to just be a little bit more careful with her words, and be careful of who she's attacking, because there's people out here that are trying to look out for her. And I feel like she's attacked. Don't take it out on people like Allison Felix. Use that same energy on the track and just win. Because again, the media, when she came last place in that race, they were ready. They were ready for it. They were ready, and she knew that. She knew it. But I really do hope that. I just feel, because when she went off on Allison Felix, I said, that's enough. I got to talk about this, because Allison Felix said nothing wrong. And Allison Felix is someone that can look up to. You even have Usain Bolt. That's why it likes her energy, different things like that. So I really do hope she gets it together. And I really do hope somebody in that circle of hers pulls her to the side and goes, hey, like, come back to earth. Like, come on. Next, I wanted to talk about Naomi Asaka. I do not have this in the description. I will talk about this. I will add it in the description. A couple things. She decided to take another break from tennis after losing the U.S. Open against, I can't think of her name. It's going to bother me. Let me find it real quick. She lost to Leah Fernandez, who was ranked 74th in the world. I want to play the clip really quick, and I want you guys to understand. This is what I'm talking about, where we have to be careful with. Let me make sure I say my words right. The difference between criticism and being bullied as an athlete. I want you to understand where I'm coming from on this. Let me play the clip. Sorry.
Thank you. Naomi, if you could, just your thoughts on the match.
Thoughts on the match? I thought I didn't play that well. Like, I didn't move that well at all, but it's kind of to be expected sometimes. Yeah. I thought I served well, though, so.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Ben?
Yeah, we've been on New York Times. We've had trouble this summer, I guess, especially against lefties. And I'm just curious how much you found that tricky in her game, when you're reading her serve especially, and how much.
So I'm not really sure what to say. But I do think her
or disadvantage, and then
this tournament, I'm honestly not sure if I feel like I've taken a step today or this tournament. I feel like I'm not really sure what I can say about how I played just now. I was pretty.
Hold on, really quick. I'm trying to find the part where she talked about, because that's a 7-minute clip, but it's in there somewhere. But I'm gonna just read the quote. So I feel like for me recently, I like when I win. I don't feel happy. I feel more like a relief. Then when I lose, I feel very sad. I don't think it's normal. I honestly don't know when I'm going to play my next tennis match. I think I'm going to take a break from playing tennis for a while. Like, I like this. Like you can tell she has social anxiety. That's documented. But this is just my personal opinion of Naomi. I really think Naomi is afraid to be criticized. I'm going to say it one more time. I cannot say this enough. Athletes get all the praise, glory, they get all the criticism. When we criticize players, we're criticizing them based on performance. Now, did she have she had a decent match? I looked at the highlights. Listen, you're going to take losses. It's part of the game. We're not like everyone. There's no such thing as a perfect athlete. Michael Jordan, for example, the first 8-9 years of his career, he was getting bounced out the first round by Larry Bird and the Boston Celtics and Isaiah Thomas and the Detroit Pistons. But what happened? Every year, Michael Jordan kept getting better and better. Before you succeed, you must first learn to fail. Hey, like Naomi, like, listen, it's okay. Like, one loss is not the end of the world. I'm not getting on her. I'm just simply, what I'm saying is, I think that there are just some athletes that cannot take criticism well, because I talked about this in the previous episode in season 2, where she started breaking down in tears because of a question that was asked about, hey, like, you're getting all these sponsorships. You know, she's got a new sponsor with some like sunscreen thing, and I'm saying that the media positively plays a role in that, but I think it was the way the question was asked. I think that's why people got in their feelings about it. But I'm just saying that what this shows, in my personal opinion, about Naomi is that if you're going to continue to do this, there's nothing. I want y'all to understand this. There's nothing wrong with taking a step back from the game and saying, I need to take a break. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do think it's another thing after a loss and say to yourself, I don't know what my next tennis match is going to be. I don't know when that's going to be. I think she's afraid to get criticized because she feels as though the media is going to attack her. and understand that's going to happen. Hey, listen, if you have a bad game, you have a bad game. Listen, there are journalists that say cruel, that say things that are over the line. For example, don't attack me, Sean, if you're watching. But the Washington football team, a few years ago, Monday Night Football, they played the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, got trounced at home, and the next night it was the Dukes and oh my gosh, I can't think of the radio station, went off on them and said things that when you look back on, okay, he shouldn't have said that, but he understood his frustration. Why? Because the team got embarrassed. It was like 40, it's like 52, something like that. Michael Vick looked like the second coming. They made Michael Vick look like a god that night. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying with Naomi, like, I understand that you need to take there's nothing wrong with taking a break from the game. I respect that. But I think the way you're doing it, people are going to go, oh, see, like, why does she keep taking breaks like that? If she's going to I think the biggest thing she needs to do, she has to rediscover her purpose in the game. Because listen, when the Williams sisters, talking about Serena and Venus, when they're done with this game, the torch may be passed to Naomi. But there's some other girls some girls also too. Looking at Coco Griff, for example, that comes to mind. Some guys aren't built to be at the top. I'm not saying Naomi's not capable of doing that. She can. But I'm just saying that she's going to have to understand she's going to get praise and criticism all the time. You're going to have bad games. You're going to have X, Y, and Z. But I think that maybe Naomi needs to take a step back and say to herself, man, what do I need to do? Now I'm in no way, shape, or form pressuring her to get back into tennis. But I think in the meantime, I think she needs to really sit back and discover and just really figure out what she wants to do. Because I really think media, I just think being in front of the cameras, I think plays a role. And I think you're seeing you're just seeing her in front of the media like that again, where she's crying crying and different things like that, and that's hard to see that a little bit. It's hard to see that because you don't want to see any athlete like that, and some people can really create narratives and go, "Oh, see, she can't take losses well." But I think personally, to wrap this up in conclusion, I just think that she doesn't. I think she feels like she's going to be criticized hard, and that's not true. You're going to get criticized, but not to the extent I think Naomi thinks she is. That's just my personal opinion. Really quick, I got to talk about the Baltimore Orioles. We had a comeback tonight. I don't want to say it was game of the year. I'm not going to go that far, but it was a great comeback. We won 9-8, 8 runs in the 9 runs in the 8th inning. I don't know what to say. I saw the game when I was at work. We were down 5-0, and Matt Harvey did a horrendously bad job. We looked completely like we just like 1-2-3 Cancun, and Mike Myers for 6 innings looked like the second coming of Kenny Rogers, the pitcher, not the singer. Rest in peace. And then the bullpen just had to come in there and do its job. And then all of a sudden, we completely turned it around in the 8th. Cedric Mullins drew a walk. And then in the previous inning, their reliever, I think his name was Joel something. Can't think of his name. Joel Pamap, something like that. He struck out all 3 batters in the 7th inning. Okay, in your mind, right? Okay, so let's say you go like, okay, you're up 5. Okay, you walk the guy. All right, that's not bad. All right, we're at 5-0. No big deal, right? Brian McCall sets a single. Okay. Give him a walk and single. We're up 5, right? No big deal, right? No big deal. Okay. Austin Hayes hit a double. Okay. All right. They got one, but that's okay. We up 4. We up 4. We're good. We're good. No problem. No panic. Okay. Mike Matheny, then that's the Royals manager. He pulled this reliever out to bring another guy in. Okay, we're up 4. No big deal for the Royals. All right, we got this in the bag. We okay. We got this guy who'll come in and do his job. It was a 3-2. It was a 3-2 count. Pedro Severino at the plate. Ball 4. Okay. Then Alberto Mondesi, who's a shortstop, not a third baseman. He had a great out. He had a catchable out, and for some unknown reason, flailed at it. I don't know what happened. Okay. 5-2. Okay, we're down 3. We're up 3. No problem. We got this. Come on, guys. Let's get it together. 5-3. 5-2. DJ Stewart popped out. That's okay. I know Ramon Urias has kind of last few games has had a leg injury, but hit a single. Okay, y'all, like it's 5-3. All right, we're up 2. Like, come on, let's get serious. Talk about the Royals. All right, come on. So Mike Matheny looked like he was about to cut somebody out because he was visibly pissed. Okay. So this is the second pitcher in the same inning, takes this guy out, brings another pitcher. I think it was Jake Brent, something like that. All right. Jamal Jones, 2 outs. All right. We're up 2 outs. We got this. Calvin Gutierrez comes to the plate. 3-1 count. Ninth hitter. He coming into that game batting a 164, right? Like in your mind, okay, I'm batting ninth, 164. I got 2 men on. I got this is my moment. I got to step up for my team. Happens. Single to center field. Tied up 5-5. Okay. That's all right. We just blew a 5-run lead. Cool. Right? Cedric Mullins comes back to bat because it's now back to the top of the lineup. Right? Now, Cedric Mullins popped up the right field. Lazy fly ball, in my opinion. Now, Hunter Dozier comes over to get it. And then their outfielder, Edward Olivares, to me, miscommunicated, right? You clearly see Dozier calling for the ball. Something distracted Dozier to the point where the ball drops, okay? And you see they cut the camera to the Orioles dugout. Everyone's going crazy, okay? Urias and Gutierrez score 7-5. We're up 2 now. Okay? Royals mount. Now, this is the complete meltdown of the bullpen. And then Mr. Ryan Mountcastle with little sprinkles, little jimmies on top of the ice cream. Hit a 2-run home run, making it 9-5. Now, then came, the top of the ninth. And you see what happened was I didn't expect Dylan Tate to hit a batter Dylan Tate, by the way, who's been ineffective. He didn't allow it. We allowed an infield single, and we were 1 strike away before Andrew Benintendi hit a 3-run home run, which was now 9-8. You see what had happened was that wasn't the pitch he was supposed to throw. He was really supposed to throw a pitch on the outside, but yeah, Dylan Tate, you choked on that, bro. Then Tyler Wells came in there, retired Carlos Santana, and we won the game. I will really say it was really disgusting. It was a great comeback. The winning pitcher was Manny Barreda. I'd never heard of him until last year. I had to do my Googles. He's been a journeyman, 14 years. He's been with 4 organizations. He's played in Mexico. He's made 490 appearances before being here. He threw a perfect 8th inning and he got the win. So congratulations, Manuel, excuse me. Well, I call him Manny. But I did not know who this guy was. I had to look him up. He was drafted in the 12th round by the Yankees back in 2007. And wow, okay. So we won. Good comeback. I'm really happy about that. However, on the south side of things, our bullpen for the Nationals, you see what happened was the bullpen just didn't have a great game. You know, it's okay. We are allowed to have bad games every once in a while, but you know, it just in the 8th inning, it all went to crap. You know, I'm sorry. It just things happen. I feel like no, I'm sorry. I take it back. We won 4-2. Why am I saying it like that? Never mind. Why did I say that? The Braves just had no answers for the bullpen. We did really, really great for 8 innings. Freddie Freeman got ejected. I never seen Freddie Freeman get that mad before. The bullpen did its job. 8.5 inning. I mean, Atlanta only managed 5 hits. You know, again, the consistencies with my issue with Atlanta is the consistency is the starting pitching. The offense was really quiet tonight. The fact that the Braves have beaten bad teams, but didn't do that tonight, but they'll have an opportunity to do it tomorrow. Now, we had an ejection. It was Sean Nolan. He hit Freddie Freeman, and he threw one behind him and hit him on the hip. That's kind of some. Freddie Freeman was ready to throw hands. Let me just say that, because I think there's something about when you throw it at a guy behind at the head. I just think, no, that's not right. But it was a great win by the Nationals. Great win for the DMV. The Orioles came back and won. The Nationals won. And, you know, the NFL season's almost here for us as well. So I can't wait. That actually made my day, even though it was just a very long day at work. But I'm going to a couple things. I'm going to transition into basketball, and that's going to be it for me for the night, because we're now going on 1:30, and I've talked to Earl for an hour and 20 minutes. So I wanted to real quick just talk about the WNBA. I'm looking at I did a prediction video for MVP, right? And I'll break this down more in episode 5. But MVP at the moment, I got to give it to John Paul Jones. Most improved player, Brianna Jones. Rookie of the year, And again, I'm going to go in depth. Episode 4 on Friday. Okay. Because I was really surprised, and I had to look because the number 1 overall pick is not really getting minutes. The number 2 overall pick is not really getting minutes. Arian McDonald is on a team that she really shouldn't be on, personally. Kaiser Gondrzik's on personal leave still. I really hope she's okay. Chelsea Dungy, I don't really understand why she's not getting any minutes at all. Like, I mean, she's gotten some minutes, but like inconsistency. Like we got Dallas had 3 picks in the first 5 picks, and neither of them are getting the minutes I think they should be getting. So my rookie of the year is Michelle Onyewer. Hold on. I want to know if you can how to pronounce that. Make sure I make that right. Onyewer. Onyewer. Drafted out of UCLA, the New York Liberty. That's my rookie of the year. Coach of the year, I'm stuck between Cheryl Reeves and Kurt Miller. That's a toss-up. But I'm going to go more in the depth with that episode 4 on Friday. But I really want to get into, because I did talk about more of this. And I wanted to play a clip of there's a conversation that was on Twitter between the talking about this whole GOAT thing and different things like that. So I think this was a really good conversation. And I'm going to give you my list because I don't believe in this GOAT talk stuff. I don't believe it. I really don't. But let me go ahead and play the video for y'all. This is on in the episode, by the way, too. If it's 21 minutes, I apologize.
In California, who literally showed everyone everywhere that no matter where you come from, no matter what you're doing, you can make it. And I think that's also important. How you appear to other people. We think about this league in its early stages versus where we are now. A lot of us at the time, I was like 12 years old when this league started. A lot of us at that time didn't see people who reflected us on any type of stage at that level. So to see someone like a Cynthia Cooper, who comes from a hood that I, relate to, being from Detroit, that meant something to me. And I'm sure that meant something to a lot of people. And I think that is just some other accolades that she deserves outside of the 4-time WNBA champion, outside of being, 4-time WNBA all first team, outside of all that. Like, she's just all the way around one of the most phenomenal basketball players that we've ever been able to witness.
Yeah, I think the hard thing about Coop is this is the WNBA GOAT, right? And I would say that the majority of her best basketball, even though she was so good when she was in the league, you're right, she was older when she got here. And
okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to save that video for the end because I kind of want to get to my list real quick. So how I did this list, I look at it by impact that each generation had on the league. I don't believe in this greatest of all time thing. I don't. I think that does a disservice to each player that's had its impact on each decade. When I look at the NBA, for example, right, I'm looking at Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, okay, the 70s, Oscar Robinson, Pete Maravich, 80s, Magic, Bird, Isaiah, 90s, Michael, Karl Malone, Chuck Barkley, John Stockton, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson. 2000s. Yeah, we can even put Shaq in the 90s too. Because Shaq was drafted, 92 by Orlando? Yes. You can put Shaq in that list, 90s. 2000s, Kobe, Shaq. Different things like that. Each generation has been an impact player. But I blame media, and I also blame, I hate to say this, casual fans for this conversation going, well, example, we talk about with LeBron James and Michael Jordan. They're two different type players. I mean, listen, granted, I caught Michael Jordan at the end of his career, particularly when he played with the Washington Wizards, but the same Michael Jordan in Chicago. LeBron James is just a generational type, and that's a generational player that's had his impact on the game. But I don't consider him the greatest of all time. Greatest generational player. Because I think it's disrespectful, again, to guys like Kobe, Michael, again, all those other guys in the previous decades. Now, when I look at the WNBA, right? The WNBA has been existing since 97. I think it's a bit unfair to say who's the GOAT. Because this top 25 list, each player has had their impact on the game. Okay? So I'm just going to read off the names. Cynthia Cooper, Yolanda Griffith, Lisa Leslie. I already said this in episode 2. I'm just giving you a few names. But let me just go off by this list, okay? So, granted, a couple things that I wanted to point out. There are I was reading this on WNBA.com. There's a total of 167 All-Star selections. 7 per player. 22 members of the top 25 won a total of 53 championships. An average of 2 per player. 4 by Simone Augustus, Sue Bird. Oh my gosh, Cynthia Cooper. I was going to say Tia Cooper, my bad. Cheryl Swoops, Tina Thompson, Lindsay Whalen, Swin Cash, Diana Taurasi, have 3. Sylvia Valos, Lauren Jackson, Lisa Leslie, Kathy Pondexter, Katie Smith, and Brianna Stewart have 2. And then Tamika Catchings, Alana Deladon, Yolanda Griffith, Brittany Griner, Nneka Ogwumike, Candace Parker, and Tisha Pensionero have 1 each. I really think this is a fair list, but what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to go off by what I'm looking, because again, each player has had its impact. Again, as I stated, on the league. Okay, so I'm going to show you my list. This is what I did, because I think this makes more sense to do it this way than what we're seeing. So I had to break it down. So I obviously went by each year, each decade, right? So we can arguably say you have Tina Thompson, Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, right? All great. Lisa Leslie, Tisha, Yolanda Griffith, right? These 3 had an impact on the 90s, particularly when the league came into play. Lisa Leslie, too, not taken away from that, right? Lindsay Whalen, Diana Taurasi, Becky Hammond was with the San Antonio Stars, and I want to say with the New York Liberty as well. Lindsay Whalen has a few rings with Minnesota. Diana Taurasi, she's known as the White Mamba. Katie Smith was a great guard. Lauren Jackson too. But this is how I did it. Now, because I feel like this is how it should be done. I understand it's top 25 players, right? But Brittany Griner, to me, for example, she just stands out because I feel like she should be in the next generation, the next decade. But I understand why she's in this top 25 because when she came out of Baylor, we knew what the type of impact player she was going to be as number 1 overall pick. We knew that. Now, you also have Cappy Pondexter, Candace Parker, who came in her rookie year and won a championship with the Los Angeles Sparks. Breonna Stewart, let's just call it what it is. You know, let's just appreciate the talent we're seeing with her. And also, too, up until she became an activist, she's always been an activist. Let me apologize. Take that back. Maya Moore, you know, from high school, college to pro, she's always been always winning. Again, had their own impact. Now, here are my snubs. Asia Wilson and Skylar Diggins-Smith, they're going to be in the next decade. Asia Wilson is still young in this league. She's got an MVP. She's been in a couple All-Star appearances. She just was in the finals last year. She's competing to be in the finals this year again. Katie Nolan, that was tough. That was tough to have her on this list. DeWanna Bonner, same thing. I feel like she's going to be in the next decade. Penny Taylor, that was hard because somebody had to come off this list. This list was not. Candace Dupree's another one. Delasia Milton-Jones, I feel like should have got some consideration. Rebecca Brunson has 5 rings, and she definitely had her impact on the league. But I feel like this is how it should be. There's no, to me, greatest basketball player of all time. Each player has had their impact on the game. And I feel like that's the kind of conversation we should be having and gearing it towards. Not this, this is the greatest W women's basketball player of all time. I just don't think that's fair to others that had their impact on the game. I don't think that's great. I don't think that's fair at all. That's, to me, let's just leave it at, again, they've all had their impact on the games differently. Because there's one game, it's one goal, it's one thing in mind. They're doing it for the love of basketball. And they're showing it to society, hey, women can play basketball too. And also too, keep in mind, I also want to point this out. Some of these ladies also were mothers too, are mothers, and still play basketball at the same time. Just a random example: Candace Parker's one, Tina Thompson's one, Cynthia Cooper is another, Swin Cash was another one. No, not Brittany Griner. Breonna Stewart, her via surrogate. DeWanna Bonner is another example. Skylar Diggins is another example. I'm just saying, like that I think that's how the list should be. Top 25 is great. Not taking anything away from that. But to say, is there a GOAT? Can't do it. I can't do that. And I just don't think, I don't really see what labeling somebody the greatest of all time is going to do. And you don't know what the next generation is going to look like. We'll come with an example like basketball, football, baseball. You don't know. Generational player of each decade has had their impact on the game in some way, shape, or form. And these 25 women have definitely made their impact and made their mark in the WNBA. And you have a very good group of women in the league right now, young women that are doing their thing. Like I said, Asia Wilson's one of them, for example. Liz Cambage is another example. Just saying. But that's going to conclude episode 3 of Big Nick Talk Podcast. What I'm going to do, I'm going to play that video. It's just to close it out. Just close it out. That conversation. But again, I want to send my congratulations to each and every one of those that made that list. It's well deserved. Again, I've always enjoyed watching the WNBA. I've been a fan. Again, I just feel like we just got to kill these narratives about the league. Watching some of these games, sometimes again, with my Mystics can get very frustrating. But at the end of the day, it's just one game. We just got to take it one game at a time, and we just got to enjoy the games. The WNBA can be successful. And it's going to take the right people to get in there and kill the narratives about the league, all the pace, the different things like that. There are things that need to improve. Like I was reading somewhere. Actually, thanks, Nathan. Light bulb went off in my head. Bill Laimbeer, former coach of the Detroit Shock, and now coaching the Las Vegas Aces, was on Twitter talking about he did an interview about the players. Oh, I gotta find that. Where is it? It was really confusing for me when it happened. Actually, let me do it like this. Because I quoted the tweet. It was really kind of mind-boggling when he said this. Let me play it real quick.
Satisfied have you been with the league and overall with everything going on this year after the whole pandemic and the way they brought back fans and the way the season has gone? What are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's been a tough year in many ways for the whole league. It started off really slow with nothing to do and the pandemic and blah, blah, blah. But, overall, I think they're muddling their way through it. The one complaint that I have and the players have is the hotel situations we have right now are just terrible. Like the hotel we're staying at right now, you can't get any breakfast. If you do, it's a stand in line for 20 minutes with people with no masks and lukewarm food. And that's not how the players should be treated at all. We should be staying in much better hotels. We checked in last night. There was 400 people in the lobby. In this type of pandemic situation, that's not acceptable for the players. And hopefully they get the message. The Players Association has complained about the hotel accommodations, and here I am complaining also.
And how satisfied have you been with the league and overall with everything going on this year after the whole pandemic and the way they brought back fans and the way the season has gone? What are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's been a tough year in many ways for the whole league. It started off really slow with nothing to do and the pandemic and blah, blah, blah. But, overall, I think they're muddling their way through it. The one complaint that I have and the players have is the hotel situations we have right now are just terrible. Like the hotel we're staying at right now, you can't get any breakfast. If you do, it's a stand in line for 20 minutes with people with no masks and lukewarm food. And that's not how the players should be treated at all. We should be staying in much better hotels. We checked in last night. There was 400 people in the lobby. In this type of pandemic situation, that's not acceptable for the players. And hopefully they get the message. The Players Association has complained about the hotel accommodations, and here I am complaining also.
Okay, real quick, let me put my 2 cents on that. That is absolutely disgusting. If this was, again, I'm gonna go there. If this was LeBron, if this was the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, all them cats, they're getting top quality service. That's just a fact. That's just the way it is. I'm not trying to, I'm just using them as an example. Regardless of who they are, the Los Angeles Lakers are here. Oh, they're going to close down the dining hall and make sure they get their breakfast warmed up, everything. I think they should get the same, as vice versa, they should get the same respect. The Las Vegas Aces, the Dallas Wings, the Los Angeles Sparks, they should get the same respect when they go and get breakfast, just like any other team. Like, and again, I just feel like these are one of the things that has to be killed about women's sports. The same that I did talk about in that article I was talking about, where the how the NCAA, funded the men's basketball more than the women. Women were making under $1 million. Not getting the proper food, not getting proper hotels, different things like that, proper weight equipment compared to the men, where they're eating hearty and different things like that. But when you have professional league, I mean, people can say what they want to say with the WNBA, but they don't really watch it. I mean, they'll watch trash in the NBA, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not gonna. I just feel like those are things I would think that the Players Association would have addressed. That's what I feel like. Like I should like, and particularly in a pandemic, that's really not a good hotel to be at. If you're trying to check in and there's 400 people standing in the lobby, that is ridiculous. Is there no mask policy? What's the rules? I got to stand in line to get breakfast in over 20 minutes. Are you serious? Like, that's ridiculous. I mean, I may as well just go to Chick-fil-A and get maybe like 2 chicken minis with an orange juice before standing in line. That they're gonna have that served up and say, "My pleasure. Well, and have a good day. Thank you for coming to Chick-fil-A." They're gonna stand in line for some disgusting eggs that's probably not cooked, lukewarm. The toast is not really toast. I mean, it's not warm toast. I'm just saying, I could go to Chick-fil-A and get 2 chicken minis with an orange juice, and that's done like that. Then be at some hotel where lukewarm food, I got to wait in line for 20 minutes. That's ridiculous. We had the same issue last year in the WNBA with the bubble, with the living accommodations, where you had pulled up carpet, you had bed bugs, you had just inadequate, just unsanitary living situation for some of the players. I'm glad it got fixed. And nice to know that, like LeBron and them call that out to show that they support the WNBA, but didn't happen. But let me get off that. Okay, I want to play this video, and that's going to end the episode. But until then, I will see each and every one of you Friday. If you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below your thoughts about the topics I touched on today. What do you see your football team being this year? Do you see them winning? Do you see them losing? What do you see? Give me your thoughts about Naomi Asaka and Shikari Richardson. Those that are WNBA fans, let me know what you guys think of the top 25 list. Who should be on the list, who was missed on that list. I also didn't mention Carol Lawson. She should be on the list as well. Orioles, Nationals. If you want to give me suggestions about other things to talk about on the podcast, other than sports, you give me like a social topic, you can leave those comments down below. Consider hitting that subscribe button along with notification bells on. But with that being said, I'm out. Peace. Stay up. Enjoy the rest of y'all's evening. I will see you.
The best basketball of her life was probably played outside of the WNBA stage, and that's she's just a victim of the times, right? But that conversation could also go for Lauren Jackson. I think Lauren Jackson for a long time was the best player we've ever seen in the WNBA, but she would take seasons off and go play for the Australia. I think her time in the WNBA was kind of broken up. So even though she's a 3-time MVP, 2-time WNBA champion, 5-time all-defensive team, led the league in scoring 3 times, like, she's someone that should be up in that conversation more for GOAT. But I think what we're saying is WNBA GOAT, like, who made the biggest impact in this league? And I kind of think it's Diana, Cheryl, Candace Parker, and Maya Moore.
So for me, Holly, I feel like Cynthia Cooper ends up leading my list. It's funny. I'm one of the people who found myself when I was talking about WNBA basketball saying Diana's the GOAT. And I still feel like she's right there for it. But when I had to use this criteria, I found myself pushing Cynthia higher. I also have Cheryl Swoops there because of her dominance on both sides of the ball, right? But I also think, like, again, when you have this conversation, it's generational, it's local, it's where you live, what the timing was. But when you talk about impact on the WNBA as well, I mean, you started the conversation, Holly, by saying, are you an MJ or a LeBron person for the GOAT conversation on the men's side? And their conversation is very different than ours. But I would say we often talk too about where the league was and how Michael Jordan also transformed the league. And I can say, when I think about the WNBA starting, and again, use that emotional factor, that what did it feel like factor on top of all the stats and analytics, Cynthia Cooper comes to my mind before Swoops does. And they're all great, right? Like this is a tough way. We're debating right now. This is a tough list to make. But when I think about dominance, team success, also impact and timing, like if Cynthia Cooper isn't what she was, is the WNBA what it is today? It was a cultural impact, as also, mentioned earlier in this conversation. And then there is a community aspect, which I do think she exists in, since that was a part of the criteria for this award as a coach and a community member. So like her as well. You might be able to ping at Diana Taurasi because, a lot of people are pointing out being a GOAT on both sides of the ball. It's not to say she's bad at defense, but she's far more known for her offense. And with Diana, you're talking about someone who not only leads the league, all time in scoring, but this is also someone who made others better at the highest level. And isn't that what we often say makes a great player great, who can also make others? So not only could she get her own shot off at the highest level, but she also is top 5 assists all time, and then I'll throw one more name in there on my, people who also should be considered. And her name was brought up earlier. I feel like Sue Bird, man, damn. Has anybody been more dominant longer than Sue? Sue has won championships in 04, 10, 2018, 2020, has a chance at it this year. She's a 12-time All-Star, which is the most times for All-Star. She's the all-time assist leader. When you talk about impact on the game, this is one of the greatest ambassadors of the game, period, and still playing. I think Sue has a really great argument for this award.
Yeah, and I think that longevity, we don't give Sue and Diana enough credit for that. That's part of your overall profile, right? As a player in the WNBA.
Your legacy.
Yeah, because if you can take care of your body enough, they both played overseas, came back to US. If you make those sacrifices, if you find a way to stay on the court for 16 years, whatever it is now for Sue, then that's impressive. And yeah, your accolades are going to continue to stack because you stayed on the court. One quick thing, y'all, I have to address on Twitter. It looks like this guy's name is Levy Moore. Levy, if you in the building, I'm about to call you out. So,
what'd he do?
Levy just brought up a very good conversation that I just need to put to bed. Stop saying the best two-way player to ever play the game. The game has two ends of the court. I said this earlier. And I think because we can use that designation of best two-way player, we take those people aside in the MVP conversation. Stop it, Levy. We're not using two-way player.
What's wrong with the term? What's wrong with the term?
No, I saw this. He wants Tamika. What can we just all agree right now? Tamika Catchings is the best defender to ever play in this game, but she was limited as a scorer at times.
Yeah.
I remember playoff games where it was just if she would just score more consistently. I don't think she is in the conversation as a GOAT as a scorer.
I don't see any shame.
I don't
see any shame in labeling somebody as a two-way player. I'm lost.
No. A two-way player, when they are in the GOAT conversation, you know what I'm saying? Taking them out of the MVP or the GOAT conversation because they're a two-way player. To me, we say that too often, and I agree with you, Holly. Tamika was a much better defender than she was on the offensive end, but overall her impact on the game, when you just watch it end to end, rebounding, we talk about offense and defense, but what about rebounding? What about extra possessions? What about sweat equity? When I left the game after watching her play, I wanted to change my life. I wasn't doing enough.
Right.
We all do.
Are you going hard enough?
Right. No.
All right.
But you know what? She's not in that category with championships. I think we haven't talked enough about. I think you have to have a certain number of championships to be in this conversation. And so for me, I really believe Candace Parker has been the best player in the world at times and should be considered as a GOAT. But she only has one WNBA championship. And that's really the only thing to me that is marking her legacy. Now, is that her fault because the Sparks couldn't ever surround her with the right people or the right coaching at the right moment? But Diana with 3 championships, Cheryl at 4, Maya at 4, I think that puts them in a rare GOAT air.
Yeah, but like Tamika, did they have a lottery pick in Indiana the whole time she was there? I mean, think about what Diana didn't have as much as some of those others, but she had Cappy. Come on, Cappy is a game changer. She had Brittany Griner. She's a game changer. Like so many of these other people we talk about, and I agree that championships should be taken in consideration, but you also have to look at, were they even in position to do that? And it's not Indiana's fault. The one championship Tamika Catchings did win, she did it with a team that no one would have picked out of a lineup to win a WNBA championship together. But you would have done that
with Katie Douglas out that year. Katie Douglas was out.
Yeah, Katie Douglas was out. I mean, odds were stacked against Catch like nobody's business. And so for her to even squeeze that one championship out was a miracle.
All right. So, LaChina, I want to throw this at you. You're our resident big girl here. You know, what about the big girls? You know, what about the Lisa Leslies, the Sylvia Fowles? Where do they stack up in this conversation?
You know, I think it's hard for bigs in this conversation because all of us know, as much as I'd hate to admit it, when a game is on the line, when there's a clutch situation, when there's a big play, the ball is usually in the hands of guards. So, you know, we've been asked this question over and over again. What was your top WNBA moment? My poor bigs, the only WNBA moment we get is if it's a block or if it's a dunk, right? But if you are a guard, you can hit a game-winning shot. You know, you're Teresa Weatherspoon, which some people feel like she should have been on this list. You know, you can hit maybe the most memorable shot in WNBA history. Or there's 1.7 seconds left when Maya Moore hits that 3 in Indiana. No one is getting the ball in the post. So while I don't think it's fair, and I absolutely think that Lisa should be considered, Sylvia Fowles is, I mean, and she's another one who has.
Yeah, Sylvia's on my finalist.
She has taken care of, I mean, she has maybe the best physical, like the way that she has survived all these years and accomplished all this is her body. Like she is obsessive about being in shape, about her strength, about all those things. And that's why she's an immovable force. But, you know, unfortunately, my bigs have gotten a little lost in the conversation. But Sylvia Fowles could be the one by the time she retires to be that center that we're like, okay, and Brittany Griner. I would say both of them. Because Brittany still hasn't even won her first MVP. What is she, 30?
What about Tina Thompson? Have you guys even considered her for this conversation at all? Or
yes.
No?
You know, it's funny. She got lost. When I was thinking about the comments, she got lost to the Cynthia Cooper and Cheryl Swoops discussion, you know?
Yeah. But she was such a huge piece of that. And she had a longer career, you know, went on to do other things longer than they did, which I thought was important.
Rory sent in on Twitter using hashtag WNBA GOAT vote. He said Tina Thompson is his choice. We got a lot of comments love here. Cheryl Swoops from Chris Hairston. And let me see who else is up here. We had a few other votes. Well, they got taken down. I want to make sure we get to this part of the conversation as we kind of come to the end, towards the end of our whole spaces here. Let's talk about who we would have liked to see on the list. Now, I just want to point out, this isn't like doing a all-star vote for one season where we can say, all right, who would you take off if you put this person on? Like, we're talking about bodies of work, y'all. So I feel like I'm not interested in saying who should come off the list because this is a celebration of legacies. However, it is interesting to say who could meet 4 of the 7 criteria discussed and could have been put on the list. So I'm curious who you would have liked to see and perhaps give some flowers in this moment to them.
Starts and stops with Deanna Nolan. It is an absolute travesty that Tweety Nolan's not on the list. I'm so mad about that. I can't even see straight. If anyone saw her play in person, she's one of the best. I would say she's one of the top 5 players I have ever seen play in person in my lifetime. And that she's not on this list makes me so crazy I can't even see straight. That people need to get their heads checked for Tweety Nolan not to be on this list.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of this. We giving out the flowers. And I think, too, when it comes to GOAT, sometimes it's around like the time that you were the time that you were alive and able to watch. It also has to do with where you were born and raised. Like, For me, Holly, you know I'm gonna go to my New York Liberty roots here, and coming from New York, I think Teaspoon, Teresa Weatherspoon. I would have liked to see her.
Oh yeah.
I would have liked to see her name on
Yeah.
the list. I absolutely think she's someone criteria-wise that could have made it as far as statistical candidacy. This is somebody who was a 5-time All-Star, also a Hall of Famer, but that's not part of the criteria. Was WNBA second team. She has made she was a steals champ. She's made her mark with assists. Steals, was a defensive player of the year twice. Again, talking about cultural impact. She was the first ever DPOY in 97, repeated in 98. I mean, obviously for Liberty fans, for WNBA fans, you think about the shot that she hit, the iconic shot in game 2 of those 99 WNBA finals. And here's the thing, like when you think about, no, she didn't win any championships, but the New York Liberty were held back by one of the dominant sports eras of all time in the Houston Comets. Like in a number of sports, when we think of dynasties, we think of great players who never got a chip because their timing just intercepted with another juggernaut. And so I definitely think the New York Liberty, I might be biased, but was right there knocking on the door, was in finals, but just kept coming short to that dynasty. So definitely think that Teresa Weatherspoon could have had her name included on the list.
Who else did you guys have? Sorry, my phone doesn't like spaces.
We said Deanna Nolan and Teresa Weatherspoon.
Okay, Rebecca Brunson.
And I've got one more salty shout out. Natalie Williams is one of the best players that played in the league that nobody seems to ever know about. So I had to get my Natalie Williams love in here because she was a beast and people don't appreciate her.
She was my favorite. She was my favorite. No, I think Rebecca Brunson. I've said that. And to make this list of 25, she just was so underappreciated. Like no one else has five rings but Brunson. Like it's history that we don't know will ever, like if Seattle does not win another championship this year, who's the next person that can even win 5? I don't know who that would be, like anytime soon, right?
Stewie.
Well, yeah, but she's got
Stewie,
2. Yeah,
maybe.
but that's years away. So what Brunson has done, we don't know if it will ever be done again.
Yeah.
And I voted for her on my 25. I voted for her. Like, I'm kind of shocked that she wasn't on there. I want to shake these people. Like, what are you doing?
I know. She just in her tenacity, and I thought Devereaux Peters had a nice feed on just, how she came to work every day, never complained. Like she's easily in that top 25 list, not in the GOAT discussion, but definitely in the top 25. She's 6'2" and was our all-time leading rebounder at 6'2". She led the league at all time in rebounding. Come on now.
Give flowers. Tarika, did you have something to add? Cindy,
Well,
I know you
actually, what I was going to say is it's a little off from what you guys are discussing, but just some of the players that were on the list that I was actually surprised, and not surprised as in to say they don't deserve to be on the list, but just surprised that so many people thought of them in this conversation. Like I think I look at an Angel McCautry, and in my mind, I just feel like Angel still has so much left to give the game that I'm surprised that she would be in the conversation so soon for being the GOAT. I just feel like there's still so much left that Angel has. The same thing for when I look at Nneka Ogwumike. Absolutely, she's one of the best players in this league, and I was surprised, not to say she didn't deserve it, but just surprised that people put her that far on this pedestal already, just because I just feel like there's so much that she has left to give women's basketball that, maybe prematurely calling her the GOAT when in a couple years after, she's won more championships, after she's, added a few more All-Stars to her already, extensive resume. I just feel like there were some players on this list who still have so much left to give the W that maybe it feels a little premature that they're already here. But I don't know how to say that without it being like, offensive or defensive to them, because it has nothing to do with what they've earned, but everything to do with how much left they have.
Tarika, is she still talking?
No, I'm done.
Oh, Tarika, I had to jump in here on this. Angel McCautry, I mean, Holly, Roz, y'all can
If you didn't, I've been holding my tongue. I've been holding my
y'all
tongue.
can jump in on this. But I did.
She took Atlanta to like 3 straight finals by herself. Come on.
I didn't even blink when I saw her name. Like there's nothing
neither.
close about Angel McCoughtry being on that top 25. Not even.
I did. I blinked.
Yes, she
I
belongs.
blinked. I did. I can't lie. I blinked.
Wait, LaChina, you're saying that it wasn't a problem for you.
Oh, it was a no-brainer. In fact, if there was a top,
she's like top 10.
I was gonna say she would have been on a top 10 list. I mean, I that's me.
Yes.
And I'll throw this one in defense of Nneka Ogwumike. She was the only player on that top 25 that checked all 7 of the boxes.
This is facts. This is facts. She did. So I give you that.
Yeah, but she's only got 1 championship.
Yeah.
You know, like I just feel like unless you've got multiple championships, it's hard to make that case.
Yeah, it is. But if community and impact off the court matters, which they said in the criteria for this award it did, or for this distinction it did, few can claim the leadership and the impact that Nneka Ogwumike has made as the president of the Players Association over the past couple of years now.
Oh, she might be the GOAT if community is at the top of this list. I mean, she's probably the GOAT of that. I mean, I don't know if there's a player that's had a greater impact in her time. CBA and Bubble, nobody.
Hey, did we forget to talk about Simone Augustus? Because I feel like if we would have had a healthy Simone Augustus, she could have been right up there for GOAT conversation.
Agreed. Break it down.
Agreed.
4-time WNBA champion. You know, she kind of falls into that Cheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper category where she had so much talent around her that sometimes she was overshadowed by Maya. But in her prime, that probably didn't do it long enough consistently. But in her prime, Simone Augustus was one of the best, if not the best player in the
Yeah.
W.
And it's sad too with her injury situation because I mean, I think she would have been even so much more. And that's a great point. You know, there are some players that kind of fell off for various reasons, and that's not her fault and not anyone else's, but it's hard in Minnesota. It's really hard when you get to Minnesota. You're splitting hairs. Like, and I will mention this player just because I think she had Katie Smith. You know, I think she's very underappreciated. Like, she was a killer. She was an absolute on both ends of the floor now. Like, could D up too. You know, they say white men can't jump, and Katie was like, "Oh, white women can't play defense? Let me show y'all what's up."
Right.
I was thinking about that.
Bulldozer.
Right.
Bulldozer.
I mean, so strong, tough. Like, yeah, I don't think she gets enough credit either for what she did in her time in the league.
And swag on a million. So you know, as we kind of come to a close here, I want to ask if y'all have any just final thoughts or feelings you want to share about the making of this list.
Lists are so hard and I hate them, but I think it's really fun for conversation and I like hearing what other people have to say. But I'm just so frustrated that Rebecca Brunson and Tweety Nolan aren't on the list. So they're on my list. Just know that. And I think it's really fun conversation, and it's TBD who's the GOAT. You know, Diana Taurasi and Phoenix Mercury, she has a chance to seal her legacy right now. They compete for WNBA championship this year again. That might be the GOAT wrap.
Yeah. I mean, I love this conversation. Thank you guys for having it and for everyone for joining us, because to me, we have to continue to talk about the history of this league. You know, so we have so many new fans that don't know about the Houston Comets. There's no more Charlotte Sting. Like, these teams have gone away. These players, you know, are no longer in the fold. And so I just love that we can continue to talk about the history, but also looking ahead based on the high level of play that's on the court right now in this league, and be excited about, you know, what Stewie and Asia will do in the future, and just all the great things happening, especially with our Olympic team going for 7 straight goals. Like, we're the best in the world. Like, the WNBA is 144 of the best players in the world. And I just think it's an honor that we can have conversations like this.
And passing it down to the fans too, y'all.
First of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find, but I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. But listen, I'm gonna criticize guys that they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.